I have been struggling with this for quite some time. And so these are some of my notes to myself and I guess just general out loud thoughts. And so I'm going to put them out there and see what other people think, I guess, and hope that it might be helpful to others and helpful to me. So I've been struggling with how to teach uh, business and finance within the family. So my spouse and my children are 9 and 2. And so, of course, you have a difficult time teaching any concept to a 2 or 3 year old. Um, but the 9 year old is starting to understand the concepts of money and cost and making money. And so she is kind of coming into understanding a little bit of what an asset and a liability and that kind of thing are. And then, my spouse didn't grow up learning a lot about money and bills and that kind of thing. So it has been a little bit of a struggle of just where to start with um, teaching concepts in not only business but home finance, and where to start with a 9 year old on uh, concepts of money and bills and credit. When they ask questions or they don't ask questions because they think it's too minor of a concept, or you might look down on them for not knowing a concept. And it's just easier when somebody asks questions of you, but they don't always want to ask you questions, or somebody wants to go look it up on their own and might get bad advice. So I have been struggling with where to start on this. And I think it's really important that we kind of go over the starting points. And so I was struggling with this kind of where to start, and I thought, geez, I really want to teach my girls, especially as they grow up, about money and finance and business. And so, how would I go about doing that? And I thought about this, generative AI and how helpful it has been for so many. And I think about my girls and how much they love apps and just getting on the computer and or getting on the phone and being able to do their own thing. So I just decided I was going to use AI to develop an app. Not that I'm a tech person, not that I'm a founder of any kind, but hey, I was going to do it. So I got on, and it has taken me way longer than I ever thought possible. But this app, Cash Quest Kids, is now on its way into the Apple App Store. And then we will work on getting it into the Android store after that. But at the same time, we have been working on this Flex Life Fi podcast, Suzanne and I, a colleague of mine. And this Flex Life Fi podcast has always been about using our regular income to provide a good life now and a earlier financial independence retirement for our families. Uh, she's got a little bit of an older family. I've got a little bit of a younger family, and being able to support those families and be able to live a good life now, but also a good life in retirement, and hopefully a better life in retirement. So we use our businesses, we use our alternative assets, and build the portfolio in order to live a better life in the future and a financially independent life. So that was the whole concept around Flex Life Fi. And now I'm like, okay, this also needs to be a teaching concept. So I added Cash Quest Kids to this. And so you'll see on Flex Life Fi that this other page is Cash Quest Kids. And I thought, how important is this learning concept? But it's learning concept from kids to adults. And so with my family, it's also kids to adults. So I think multiple ways of learning, not just this application, because this application needs to have other support, because not only do the kids not know, some of the parents and teachers don't know that might be helping with this application. So I have a parent and teacher guide And that goes along with this, and there's workbooks for each kind of age group, from coloring books to matching games to some general, of course, age appropriate kind of guides and different informative information, like informative things that will help at different age groups, workbooks, kind of things to go through to reinforce, and activities, pro tips, scenarios, just things to go through to keep you thinking about, when you start a business, what kind of things do you have to think about from a business plan? Or, okay, for the little kids, this is a quarter, this is a dime, this is a dollar bill. And when you pay for something, you use these. Or somebody might use a credit card, and this is a credit card. A credit card is not real money, it's a bank's money. And then somebody or a parent has to pay that credit card off. If not, then they get charged extra money, and that's called interest. So I think it's really important to go over those concepts, especially at an early age, because at a later date, it's really hard to go over that again and teach interest, and then interest on a loan, and what's the different types of loans that you can get, and how did those vary, and why are those different types of loans, and then all the different types of retirement and how those are affected. And then you can get into tax concepts, which we have on the Flex Life Fi side. We have things like um, retirement, 401k versus a self-directed solo 401k, some educational content there. We have things on credit cards. We also have the application that was built before that, which I'm quite happy to have. It is Anchor Cadre, and it is a personal assistant, but within that there is a financial independence calculator, and that has all of your pensions, your self-directed solo 401k versus your solo 401k, and just so much additional uh, thought put into it, from real estate or commercial real estate holdings to uh, all the different types of business assets or alternative assets that you might own. And you can put those in, and you can put different types of assets in those self-directed that all these other calculators just do not consider or take into account when you're trying to figure out if you can retire. So if you can put that in, especially using this AI assistant, and none of it is staying, none of this information is taking your bank information, none of it is taking your passwords, and none of it goes, well, the financial independence calculator has a database just in order to have some staying power for your information, but it is not keeping any personal information, if that makes sense. It's not keeping any passwords, it's not keeping any of your bank records, and you're not uploading any documents, none of that. It just maintains the staying power of your numbers, not any documents, not any bank passwords, none of that information. And we don't want account numbers. And then you have the AI assistant. So you have power of Claude and Gemini and OpenAI. So depending on which one's best at the time and best for what you're asking it to do, it can then go out and say, give me a summary of today's emails, or give me a summary of, what is happening today that I need. And that will be your daily briefing. And it will tell you, what all the things are that are going on. And then you can say, develop me